Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today, we'll be diving into the world of web development, starting from the very foundation of every website, HTML and CSS. If you've ever wondered how websites are built, how the contents are structured, and how everything from colors to the layout are designed, this video is for you. We will start by exploring HTML, the language that gives the web page its structure, like headings, paragraphs, links, and images. Afterwards, we will go into CSS, the language that brings life to every web page by using fonts, sizes, colors, and making every web page responsive. Whether you're a beginner or just trying to brush up your skills, at the end of this video, you will understand how these two languages work together to create a modern website. So grab your laptop, open your code editor, and let's build something awesome together. Let's get started. We're going to be learning HTML basic, CSS basic, intermediate HTML and CSS, pseudo and CSS advanced, HTML5 multimedia. So, what are HTML and CSS? HTML and CSS, they are both acronyms. HTML stands for Hypertext Markup Language. HTML defines the skeleton of web page. It is the standard language used to create and design pages on the World Wide Web. While CSS stands for Cascading Style Sheets. HTML and CSS for Dynamic Web Application. So, let me go deeper to explain what HTML is. As I earlier said, HTML stands for Hypertext Markup Language, and then it is the skeleton of the web page. It is what gives your web page the structure. HTML is not just a programming language. It's a markup language used to define structure of web content. It tells the browser how to display text, images, videos, links, and other content. So what is CSS then? CSS stands for Cascading Style Sheets. It is a language used to style and lay out web pages, including design, colors, fonts, spacing, positioning, and responsiveness. What does CSS do? CSS separates content, that's HTML content, from presentation style. For example, HTML builds the structure while CSS makes it look good. So, what next? How does the web works? Have you ever wondered how does the internet work? How does the World Wide Web work? I'm going to be walking you through how this World Wide Web works. First of all, take for instance, you want to browse www.google.com on your website. You go to your Google Chrome, you type in www.google.com on your website. The first thing that happens is the DNS resolver. What is the work of this DNS resolver? The DNS resolver translates the human readable domain name www.google.com into an IP address that sometimes could be 192.0.2.1 that computer use to identify each other on the network. Just like the way we speak English, the computer does not understand your plain text. The computer only understands zeros and one. So once you type in www.google.com to search for google.com on Chrome, the computer first uses the DNS resolver to translates the language into an understandable language that the computer understand. And then once that is done, the firewalls comes in. What does this firewalls do? These firewalls check incoming and outgoing data to allow or block traffic based on security rules, helping protect your network from um from suspicious websites, suspicious content. Then after this, the TCP IP protocol is the next stage after the internet, after the web browser has helped you to check that the website is not suspicious. Then the TCP and IP protocol is the next step. And this step is, once the IP address is known, the TCP IP protocol ensures that the data is sent from your device to the web browser or the web server correctly and in the right order. Then after this is done, then we have HTTP and SL. The HTTP stand for Hypertext Transfer Protocols, or SSL, the secure security layout. Certificate encrypts the connections so that data transferred is private and secure. How do you know if your internet is private, if it is safe for you to send very important details? Because sometimes some people want to make transaction, they go on the browser to impute their ATM card number, and then they put things that are very vital that should not be seen by just anyhow person. So how are you sure that this site you are logging into is secured? It is through the HTTP. We have HTTP and then we have HTTPS. When you go to a site and you see that the site is HTTP, be very cautious, because such a site might not be secured. It might be a suspicious site, and then you are prone to attack. But when once you're going into a website and then the website has HTTPS, it is a secure. That S stands for secured. So it is a secured website, and then you are covered. You should know, you don't need to be scared as when you're going into a browser with you're going to a site without the S. Then after that is checked, the next step is to the load balancer. Now what does this load balancer do? This load balancer, the request may pass through a load balancer which distributes incoming traffic across multiple web servers to avoid overloading any single one. Take for instance, we are 10 and then we are trying to browse, we are browsing at the same time. Now what this load balancer does is that the load balancer helps to reduce the traffic on one side. So it helps to distribute each person to different server so that the one server will not be crowded over the other one. So that is the work of the load balancer, ensuring that there's a balance in the web. And then next is the web server, which handles the HTTP requests. The web server receives the HTTP request and responds with a file like an HTML page or image, or forward the request to an application server. Then what does this application server does? The application server processes the dynamic contents, e.g. like the login forms, or it protects or product pages, possibly using programming languages like PHP, Python, or Node.js. It communicates with the database to review or store information. And then what is this database? This database, such as the MySQL, PostgreSQL, holds the data like user info, blog posts, etc., and sends it back to the application server when requested. So back to the browser. The process results after all these stages, from when the user inputs what he wants to see to the very end of the database. At the very end, the result now is processed and is brought back and is sent back through the same route to your browser, which displays the web page to you to interact with. So that is what happens behind the scene, or when you try to browse a website, when you try to input a URL on your website. So setting up your tools, different text editor. What you need different text editor, you need Notepad, you need Sublime, you need the Visual Studio or Visual Studio Code. And then how do you prepare your coding environment if you're a very beginner and then you don't know how to set your coding environment, or you don't know the tools you need to set this environment to get it started. I would advise you go back to my previous video tagged how to set up your coding environment. So, but this, what I'm doing right now, I'm just brushing you through what you need to do to set up your coding environment. So you open your web browser and visit the official website of VS Code, and then you can download the VS Code or any other editor you desire to use. And then click on the download button. It will automatically detect your operating system, and then it will download the accurate one for your operating system. Locate the downloaded installer, double click the file to start the installation process. Follow the on-screen instruction, click install to complete the setup. Install extensions for HTML and CSS, just such as live server and every other extensions you think you may need. Yeah, so right now the environment is set. So let's get to work. So HTML structure. This is the HTML structure. So what is the HTML structure? An HTML document structure consists of a document type declaration, the HTML root elements, and the two main structures sections, the head and the body. So as you can see here, contains metadata not visible to the user, like the title, character set, and links to style sheets. The body contains the visible contents of the web page. So let's go into it. What is this doc type HTML? Declaration tells the browser the document is an HTML5 document. So this tells the browser the document type. So, and then next is the HTML. So what is this HTML? The root element of the HTML document. This is the root element of the HTML document. It contains all other elements. The HTML elements may also include a language attribute, just like this, to specify the language of the document. Now we have the head section. The head section comprises of the title elements, the meta elements, the link elements, and then the script elements. So the title element defines the title of the document displayed in the browser's title bar. If you go to your browser title bar, you'll see a title. You can try that and check it now. You will see a small title there. So that is the title element. Then the meta element contains metadata about the documents, such as the character sets, the viewpoint settings, and then keywords. Then the link element links the HTML document to external style sheets, scripts, or icons. And then maybe if you have a link outside your web page, that you can put them inside the link element. Also, we have the script element, includes JavaScript code within the HTML document. So you can add your JavaScript code in the script element. Then after that, we have the body section. The body section contains all the visible content of the web page, including the text, the images, the links, and other elements. We have headings, and the headings are from H1 to H6. They are in different hierarchy. So from H1 to 3, they are suitable for headings. You can use H1 for your heading or for reference when you're trying to reference an important part. You can use the H1. H2, you can use it for subtitle, and then H3. The more, like from H4, H5, H6, you can use it for your paragraph, for your text and your text body. So the paragraph is used to define the paragraph's text. That's the paragraph tag is used to define the paragraph text. And then we have links to create hyperlinks to other web pages or section within the same page. Then the images display images on the web page. We have lists. If you want to create table or you want to create a list of things, say list of students, you can use the lists. Then we have tables, organize data in rows and in columns. Then the form used to collect user input. So if you want to create a HTML form, you use the form tags to create it. And under the form tags, we have the input, we have the text area, we have the select and all that. So I think this is it about the HTML structure. What next? I hope you're not getting confused, but let's now explain each. So I've explained all these, the HTML headings, the HTML paragraphs, the links, and then now the division is used to make container. When you want to create a container, you can use the div. Then we have the HTML list, HTML ordered list and an ordered list, which I explained. So we have the line breaks. The BR tag is for the line break. We have the bold text, which is used to emphasize on a text, to create emphasis on a text. Then we have the italic text. You can use the I tag or EM tag. They are all used for italic. They use it if you want to make your text italic or you want to emphasize on a particular part of your code. You can use the italic tag. Wow. So right now, let's go into the coding environment proper, and let's code our first blog. So we are going to be creating a blog. So we are going to be creating a blog post, and we are not going to be using CSS for now. We'll first create it, and then once we're done, we can now use CSS to style it. So let's get into it. Back. So right now I'm in my code editor. I've opened my code editor, and I believe you've opened yours too. So we are going to be creating our first blog post. So what do we do? You click on new file. So yes. So now let's now put all the HTML structure we learned into practice. So what do you do first? You type in your doc type, right? All right. So this is how, let's add the body. So this is how your web structure should look like. And then you can further on add script and the rest. But for now, we are not adding scripts. We are just trying to build a small web, our first web page. So now let's now add details to the structure. So we said this is the document type. It tells you that this is HTML5, and this is the HTML. Every HTML must always have an opening tag and a closing tag. If you see, every opening tag must have a closing tag the for the web, for the code to function. If not, it will not be active, it will not function. So, and we said that this is the head. The head now carries everything, the details of our web page. So on this title, we are going to give our web browser a title. So let's say welcome, no, let's say my first web page. So that is the title. And then the heading, remember I said that sorry, then the body, remember I said that we, for the heading, we have h1 to h6, and h1 is used to for more emphasis, and also you can use it for your heading if you want to give your page a heading. So let's give it a heading. So the heading is welcome to my web page, right? Yes. So let's put it good. Then what else do we need? So let's create a paragraph. The p tag is used for paragraph. So this is my first ever web page created by me. All right, so now what do we add? Oh, okay, let's run this and see how it's looking already. So Control S to save. Where do you want to save it? Let's save it in our desktop for easy access. So let's say first web page, and then save as type. If you want to save it, you save it as HTML so that you'll be able to run it. If not, if you don't save it as HTML, you will not be able to run it on your browser. So you have to save the type. All right, so now let's go back to our desktop where we saved the file. So where is the file we saved? This is the file we saved. No, this is okay. This is the file we saved, first web page. So let's open it. When you right click it, sorry, open with. So you can now decide what you want to open it with. Let's open with Chrome. All right, so this is it. This is welcome to my web page. This is my first web page created by me. And you know, remember that I said that the title is used to title the web page. So this is where, as you can see my cursor, I guess. So if you see, this is where the title is, my, and see it, first web page, and then it will show you where it is located. It is located in my own, in my OneDrive at the desktop. So now let's add image. Let's make this more beautiful. Let's add image to our page. So what tag do we need to use when we want to add image to your page? You use the img tag. That's the image tag. How do you add image to your page? So this is it. Wait, sorry, I need to go back ahead because I know it was not indented well. So image, then we have the source. So you write your source. So the source, now you can, if it's on your asset folder, you can put the asset folder where the image is found. But if it's a URL you want to get from your web page, then you have to put in the URL where you're getting the image from. So for this little project, we are going to be getting our image from the browser. So let's go to the browser, search for an image, and then we'll now bring the link and paste it here. So let's do that. Come here, open a new page, and then let's go to pixels.com. Sorry, yeah. So what image are we using? I love red cars, so let's use red cars. This is beautiful. We are not downloading it, we are copying it, copying link address. So the link address has been copied, then we'll come back here and we'll paste it. Good. So you put the link in your quotation after the source as the source, then after that you can now add, sorry, placeholder. This is not placeholder. I will now write image. You can give it anything, and then you close your tag, you close your image tag, and let's save it and go back to our page and refresh. So let's refresh our page. Okay, why is the image not showing? Sorry, we need to go back and see why it is not displaying. So let's go back, let's refresh it. Voila. So this is our first web page without coding or nothing. And then I forgot to mention, because there are a lot of tags you need to know, and I cannot list all of them here, but you can go and learn more, or you can go to my seller.com account and then you get more explanation on different tags you can use. So these other tags I'm going to be talking about is the button. We can create a button. So let's create a button. So button, yeah, so click me. No, let's do view more and save it. So let's go back and see what we have. Refresh. Good. So you see everything is scattered. It's scattered, it's not looking beautiful. We can give more beauty to this page. We can make it center. We can give this coloring and all that. So all these things we can do that using CSS styling. So let's go further and style our page. So in the CSS I said we have, so the hue represents the pure color like red, green or blue. It's typically specified as an angle in the color wheel from 0 to 360 degrees. Then the saturation indicates the intensity of the color, ranging from a grayscale shade 0% to fully saturated vibrant color 100%. Then what about the lightness? The lightness determines how light or dark the color is, with 0% being black, 50% being a neutral gray, and 100% being white. So how do we use HSL? HSL colors are commonly used in CSS to define background colors, text colors, and other visual elements. You can specify HSL colors using the HSL function, like HSL open bracket 120, 50%, 100%. HSL allows for easier adjustment of color properties. You can change the hue to get different colors, adjust the saturation to make the colors more or less vibrant, and alter the lightness to make colors lighter or darker. So what does this HSLA means? Because I've explained the HSL. So what does this HSLA means? The HSLA colors values are extension of HSL color values with an alpha channel which specify the opacity for a color. Also, the A in the RGBA also specifies the opacity of the color. So that A stands for alpha. The alpha parameter is a number between 0.0 fully transparent and 1.0 which is not transparent at all. So up next, what next? So CSS font styling, font properties. We have different font properties. Like we have font family, we have font size, we have font weight, we have font style, line height, letter spacing. They are all CSS font styling. So what is this CSS font styling? What does it mean? In CSS, choosing the right font for your website is very important. When you are choosing the right font, it has a huge impact on how the readers experience a website. The right font can create a strong identity for your brand. Using a font that is easy to read is important. The font adds value to your text. It is also important to choose the correct color text for the font. So, and then the font family, we have some generic, I think we have some generic font family. So I'm going to be listing 5 of them. We have the serif, we have the sans serif, we have the monospace, we have the cursive, and then we have the fantasy. These generic font families, there are 7 in numbers. So, and then we look into it in later videos to come. So custom fonts can be added to your code. Yes, you can also add custom fonts to your code. Sorry. So what is CSS? We are still under CSS styling. What is the box model? CSS box model wraps around every HTML element. This is what will help you when you're doing responsive design to make your code responsive. And then this CSS box model consists of content, the padding, the borders, and the margin. So the content of the box is where text and images appear. So that place where your text, your images, and every other thing appears is called the content. Then the padding clears an area around the content. The padding is transparent. Then the border is a border that goes around the padding and content. And then the margin clears an area outside the border. The margin is transparent. The box model allows us to add a border around elements and to define space between elements. So sorry, I think. So now we are going to be styling the HTML file we created before. Now we are going to be um our first web page. We are going to be styling it and using CSS. We are going to be adding some more settings to our page. Let's add the meta tag. You know, we discussed about the meta tag, that we say the meta tag gives more information about your web page. So let's style it. This is the character set UTF-8. This is an encoding, shows that your site is encoded. Okay, let's close it. So yes, and ensure you save as you code. It's very important. So where do you add the styling when you're doing an inline styling? When you're doing an inline styling, we have two types of styling. As I said earlier on, I said we have the external styling and then the inline styling. So if you're styling inline, what you should know is that if you want to style inline, after the title you add your style tag. Yes. So but now the thing is, since you cannot put your closing tag like that. Your closing tag is supposed to be immediately after the, yes, it should be after the styling, after you've added everything, before the closing tag for the head. So we can actually put our closing style here, and then let's hit enter and start styling. So what are we styling first? Let's style the body of our page. That's the general page styling. Sorry, it's not a tag, so you put body. So this is how you style it. So first of all, we want our background color. What color are we using for our background? So we need a background color. Let's pick blue. Yes, let's pick blue. Then the font family. What font family are we using? There is a lot of font family. You see the list. So let's look for something. Okay, let's use this. Yes. Then, and ensure that anytime you're trying to style with CSS, after every property there should be a comma before you put another property. It is very vital. If not, it won't reflect. So let's style our color, our text. What color do we want to style our text? Let's style it this basic, then a semicolon as usual. Then we have to text align, let it be center, right? Space. So we are text aligning center. Then padding, let's give padding to the edge, let it be far away from the edges. So that is the padding. So how many spacing? 40 pixel. Yep. So we save. Sorry, I'm not supposed to highlight that. We save, and then after saving we can go ahead to check what we've done, or we can continue and finish and see what we've done. So let's go and check what we've done. So right, so this is what we've done so far, but then the image is not yet aligned, and then we are not done. So we are still going to do some more editing. So let's come back, and then let's style our heading. So you know this is the closing tag for the body. So, and this is how you open and you close when you're styling. This is the way you style, whether inline or external styling. So let's style our heading. So we'll say the H1. So this is what we call selector in CSS styling. So what color do you want to style it? Let's use hex method of coloring. This is called hex. I think I explained this while I was trying to present. Yes. So then the font size. So the size of your text is the font size. So what size do you want your text? Let's use 36 because this is the heading. We need it to be well pronounced. Then the margin bottom. So what is this margin now? The margin bottom is the space between your heading and the next thing that comes underneath, either your image or your paragraph text. So this margin bottom. How many pixel? It's going to be 20 pixel. Then we can save. And then let's go and see what we got here. So let's refresh it. Ensure you take note of how it is before you refresh. Wow. So this color now is the color is actually not suitable because of the background color we are using. So let's change it to a better color. Let's see. You can come here to select. Let's use the yellow. Okay. Sorry. You can come here to select your color. Okay. So you save. And then you go back to see what we got. So you refresh as usual. Yes. So this is better. So now let's style our paragraph. How do you style your paragraph? You do a P selector, selecting the part you want to style, which is the paragraph. Then you create your font size. What font size are we using? Let's use 18 because the font is not supposed to be as big as the heading font. Then let's create a space between our text and then the image. So we'll do margin bottom. How many? Let's use 30, or we can use 20 pixel. Anyone that suits better for you. All right, so let's see what we've got. So refresh and see the difference. Can you see the difference? Yes. So now what are we styling next? Let's style our image next. So let's style our image next. So we do image and then we do the width. The width is like the wideness of the image. Let's use 500 pixel. Then what else? The max width, the maximum width, which is very important in styling. Let's use 100%. Then the border radius. Do we need a border radius? Yes, so that we'll have a curvy border. So border radius, let's use 10%. Sorry, 10 pixel. Then we need to give it a box shadow. So how many? This is how you put your box shadow. Zero, zero. Oh, sorry, I need to create space. 0, 0, then 0.2. Yeah, I think there's an arrow in my spelling. Shadow. All right, so let's save it and go back and see what we have here. Isn't this beautiful? So let's style our button now. So let's style our button. So this is dot button. So the background of the button, background color. No, I don't want to use that. Or let's use yellow. Let's copy this. Sorry. So let's use that yellow color we used before now. Then 5. Okay. So let's see what we got here. Refresh. Why is the button color not showing? We will rectify that. Okay. You know, I talked about a semicolon after every property you do in CSS, right? Okay. All right, so it's showing now. Then let's give our text the color. So we are going to, when we are done, then we'll check. We'll give it white. Then padding, let's shift it away from the box. Then borderline, there's none. Then border radius, we have to give it border radius. Then cursor, that's the pointer. This color is not fine. Let's go with black or red. Beautiful. And if you followed this video to the end of this, congratulations, you've actually built your first web page. This is beautiful. So up next, we'll be looking at more advanced case in HTML and CSS. So let's get on. All right, welcome back. So let's dive deeper into HTML and CSS. HTML forms. What are HTML forms? An HTML form is used to collect user inputs. The user input is most often sent to a server by processing. So what are these imports? Sometimes you want to, let's take for instance, you want to register on a site. You go on your web browser, and then let's say you browse um gmail.com, and then you are prompt to create a new account. A form will pop up for you to put in your name, your email, your business details, and the rest. So that is called a form. It is called a form. So we are going to be learning how to create a form in HTML, and then we'll look at the different form elements and all that. So what is the form element? The HTML form element is used to create an HTML form for user input. A form element is a container for different types of input elements, such as the text field, the checkbox, the radio buttons, the submit buttons, and the text field could be the password, the email, where you put in your email, and the rest. So this is a sample of the HTML form. You have the username. That's the username there showing is called the label. Then underneath the box is called the text area. Then we have it's called the input area or the text area. Yes, then we have the password, the submit button. So let's look at the positioning property of CSS. The position property specifies the type of positioning method used for an element. We have static, we have relative, we have fixed, we have absolute, and then we have sticky. And then we have sticky. Yes. So the position property is into 5, and I've named it. I said the sticky, the relative, the fixed, the absolute, and the static. Elements are then positioned using the top, bottom, left, and right properties. However, these properties will not work unless the position property is set first. They also work differently depending on the position. So all these things is what gives your website responsiveness. So for the position static, HTML elements are positioned static by default. Static positioned elements are not affected by the top, bottom, left, and right properties. An element with position static is not positioned in any specific way. It is always positioned according to the normal flow of the page. Then when we talk about position relative, is positioned relative to its normal position, setting the top, the right, the bottom, and the left properties of a relatively positioned element will cause it to be adjusted away its normal position. Other contents will not be adjusted to fit into any gap between the elements. So I think that's that. Then Then what is flexbox and grid layouts? They are also very important when learning CSS. Powerful tools for creating layouts on web pages, but they serve different purposes. For a flexbox, is primarily used for one-dimensional layouts, such as aligning items in a row or column, while grid layout is designed for two-dimensional layouts, allowing you to arrange items in both rows and columns. So the difference between flexbox and grid layout is that flexbox is one dimensional, meaning it arranges items in a single direction, either horizontally or vertically, while grid layout is two dimensional, handling both rows and columns. What are their cases? The use cases: flexbox is ideal for smaller components, aligning items or distributing space along a single axis, while grid layout is better suited for creating complex page layouts, especially when precise control over rows and columns is needed. Flexbox offer more flexibility in aligning items and distributing space, while grid layouts provide a structured grid system for creating predictable and organized layouts. So when do you use Flexbox? You use Flexbox for aligning items within a container, distributing space, or you are creating simple layouts with rows and columns. With rows or columns. But for a grid layout, you use it when you want to create um rows and columns together, creating complex page layouts, defining the overall structure of a page, or when you need a precise control over the arrangement of items. That's when you use the grid layouts. So media queries for responsiveness. Media query. What is media query? Just know this, that media query, they are a core part of responsive web design in CSS, allowing websites to adapt their appearance and behavior based on the characters of the user's device, such as the screen size, the resolution, and the orientation. They enable developers to apply specific CSS rules conditionally, ensuring a user-friendly experience across different devices and screen sizes. So the thing you should take note is that media queries are implemented using the media rule in CSS. Then conditional styling, they allow you to apply different CSS styles based on the specific conditions, such as the screen, the width, and the height. Responsive web design, they are crucial for creating websites that adapt seamlessly to various screen sizes and resolution. And they help also to support your browser. Media queries are supported by all major web browsers, making them a reliable and widely used feature. All right. All right. Now we are going to create a form, a HTML form. So first of all, let's create a new file, and let's now start our coding proper. And remember, when you start coding, the first thing you do is to write your doc type as we did earlier on, which is HTML, then the HTML tag, then we have the head, okay. So since it's not closing, we have to close it ourselves. Head. So let me close the HTML. We have the meta, a meta tag. So put the character set using UTF-8, character set UTF-8. Then we close it. Then now let's add something new. Let's add the meta name equals to viewpoints. What am I saying? God. Then we have the content, which is width. device with, how am I doing it? Why am I having this errors today? Then the initial q is equals to 1.0. Then you close your page, you close your meta. So let's give our page a title. So on the title tag, we'll do that, and then we'll call it contact form, and then you close it. Good. So now after the title, what do we have? Let's add our link. Since we are not styling, if you're going to style inline, would have add our styling tag here, but since we want to style external, so we would add the link to our styling here. So we have style sheets, sorry, supposed to be in style sheets, then reference. Now we'll name it style, so you put the name of the file, style.css. As usual, we have to close the tag. Then so this is the heading. So let's go to the body. The body tag now that contains every body property. I don't know if I mentioned them, division tag. So, and we say the division tag creates a container, so we are going to create the form container. So this is called the form container. That's what we are creating now. You close the v tag. Sorry. So since this is the form container, everything you're coding right now about the form has to be in between this div so that it will be in the container. So now we'll create the heading. Let's name it, let's use h2. We don't need to use very big font, so h2 should do. Contact us. As usual, I don't know why it's not closing itself. We close it. Then the form tag. In creating form, you have to use the form tag. So action, what is the form, what is the action? Then method, we can put post, that's if you're consuming API, but we are not, so we can leave that one out. Then class is equals to contact, that's the class of this, it's called contact form. Then you close your form again. Then let's do it. Label. I think I showed you what label is. So let's create label. The first label will be name. You can, if you decide to use first name, second name, you can do it like that. It depends what you want to do. So the first label is name. So you put full name. So it's a thing of choice to put it's to separate it or to just join everything together. Then input type is text. Is text. Then ID name. So this required is an action. If you notice, I started with action. So what does this require do? This require would, in case you don't fill in, you skip to fill in any of the information or any of the text area or input area, it will flag it. It will say, it will flag it and tell you required. Just like the way if you go online to fill some form and then you forget to fill in the details, it will be flagged. So that is what the require is doing there. Then the second thing we are going to create, let's just copy this code. Let's copy it. We are going to be creating, I didn't copy that. So let's copy it again. Ctrl C. So, and Ctrl V. Yeah. So now the next thing we are creating is email. So just change the, for email, just change the context and put email address. Then input type, this will be email. Then ID is email. Then name, email. Place order, your at example.com. Then is required. Then also we want to create phone number, a section to add your phone number. So we'll put for contact for phone, then this will be phone number. Sorry, let's make it in caps. Phone number. Then input type, can name it telephone. ID is phone. The name is phone. Then place order. We can decide not to put a placeholder, but this placeholder you're imputing will help the user know the format in which to write whatever he's trying to impute in the form, and it's required. So that is that. So you can also add address and all that, but since this is just for example purpose, I will not be going further with the rest. And let me do a text area. You can also create a text area. So what's the difference between an input and a text area? The difference is that an input is used for smaller text, while a text area is used when you want to add in messages and all that. So right now what we want to create is a text area where you can add your message. So full name is messages, message. Then instead of putting input, you change it to what? Text area. Then type, id type is text, or we can remove the type. Let's remove the type. ID is message. The name is message. Then now you now have to add rows to it. So rows. How many rows do you want it? How big do you want it? Let's put 7. So let's close it. Then let's create a button as usual. So that button will be a submit button, because after, in every form, after inputting it, you have to add a submit button. So type is equals to submit. Then the class is equals to submit button. So great, let's now save it. Form.html. So now we are going to create another, oh shit, sorry. We're going to create another file, and we're going to name it style.css. So that's where we'll be styling our form. So I'm just going to, so we are going to be styling our form. So box sizing, so this is the box sizing, covers the entire box to ensure that it looks very well. And you know, I said the box sizing is where the box is where our content is. So the content area, that's why we designed this. So this body, now we are designing the main body, the text area, the body of the of our form. Then the form container, this is it. And then so this is just all it is. So let's run our code and see what we've done. Let's save this to style.css. So, and then we are supposed to link this to our HTML form. Okay, it's already linked. This is a style.css. So that is that. So let's run our code now and see. Sorry, I have to go to desktop. So this is it. No. Sorry, I'm supposed to open with, so let's open with Chrome. So this is the form we created. So thank you and see you in my next video. And that brings us to the end of this video. I hope you now have a solid understanding of how HTML structures a web page and how CSS make it looks great. This is just the beginning of your web development journey, and there is so much more to learn, like JavaScript, responsive design, and how to build a full website. You can also learn different frameworks like Vue.js, React, and so much more. If you found this video helpful, please give it a thumb up and leave a comment if you have any questions to ask. And don't forget, I also have my PDF on seller.com. You can go to my bio to check the link. Thank you for watching and see you in the next one. Happy coding.